Hey, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, then welcome. Today I'll be ranking every single bookish boy that I have read this year. I got the idea for this video because I have been thinking a lot lately just how much bookish men that I have been reading about lately have been killing it. Like, I've been connecting to so many MMCs lately that I just feel like this would be a fun video to do, just to talk about all the bookish men that I have read this year. I just love talking about like bookish boys and bookish crushes, so this gives me an opportunity to do that. I get to gush about the bookish boys that I love, also rant about the ones that I don't love, so that's what we're gonna do today. And I could also talk about all the FMCs that I have read this year. That might be a good idea as well. We'll see. But I just wanted to talk about all the MMCs that I've read this year because they have been so great. So we're going to have some like girly talk right now and talk about bookish boys. So it's going to be a fun time. I do have to include a disclaimer though. And this is to all the Fruits Basket fans that may be watching me right now. Do not fret because Kyosoma will forever be my favorite bookish, I guess, manga-ish male main character of all time. That will never change. Like, he could never beat out any of the bookish men that I'm going to be talking about today. So just letting you know, because he's always going to be the greatest. So yeah, just wanted to say that. So I'm going to start with my least favorite to my most favorite. So this will be in order of ranking. And I have 23 that I'm going to be talking about, which is quite a lot. I think I'll go more in depth on my top 10 and just briefly talk about the rest because I really don't have a lot to say about the ones that I like disliked or I thought were just mess. So I think that's what we're gonna do. But anyway, why don't we just get started? So starting off at number 23, I have Christian from Twisted Lies by Ana Huang. So the main reason why I gave this book 2 stars was because of Christian. I was not a huge fan of him. I found him to be quite controlling and like aggressive, that there was just not a lot of things that I liked about him, which was very odd because I really enjoyed all the rest of the boys in this series, but Christian just did not win me over. I found him quite cringe and appalling, and I was not a fan of him. So this is definitely the worst bookish boy MMC that I have read this year so far. At number 22, I have Cardan from the Cruel Prince trilogy, or the Folk of Air trilogy, the first book being The Cruel Prince. Cardan was just a very hard character for me to like because he is a bully, and I just do not gel well with bullies. He is just so mean-spirited that there was just not a lot to like about him, and so for that reason, I just could not connect to him. I know a lot of the girlies love Cardan so much. I've seen it so much online, but he just did not win me over, unfortunately. At number 21, I have Nate from Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I overall really did not enjoy Icebreaker. I talked about this book in my wrap-up last month, and if you saw that video, you would have seen me rant on and on about how much I hated this book. So this book overall was just bad, but I will say that Nate was one of the better parts of this book. I really liked him because he is quite a nice guy. He's very kind. He's really good to his friends. He's so loyal. So I did really enjoy Nate. But the one thing that I did not like about his character is how much he simped for Anastasia, his love interest, because she is such a brat. I hated her. She was insufferable, so I could not understand why Nate liked him so much because Anastasia treated him so poorly. And so because it did not make sense for Nate to want Anastasia that badly, it lowered my opinion on his character a lot. But other than that, he's a pretty cool guy, but even that is not enough for me to like rank him higher. At number 20, I have Alex from Twisted Love by Ana Huang. Alex was just like okay for me, but I do feel like he's a bit too brooding for me. I'm not the biggest fan of like brooding alpha male men. That's one of the reasons why I could not connect with Alex, unfortunately. But I did like how much he cared for Ava, the FMC. I found his devotion to her to be quite admirable. He treated her well, but he's a little too alpha male for me. At number 19, I have Caleb from Credence by Penelope Douglas. So there are 3 main men in this book, 3 love interests actually, and so I'll be talking about the other two men in this book on this ranking. But out of all these three men, I think Caleb was my least favorite because he is also quite a bully. He's very, very mean to the FMC, and I didn't really like that. He didn't win me over for that. He has a lot of mental issues that I really wish he would have gotten sorted out before he started any relationship with our female main character, because he just had a lot of issues. So he ultimately did not win me over at all. At number 18, I have Reese from Unsteady by Peyton Corrine. Wasn't the hugest fan of this book. I did give it 3 stars. There was just a lot of issues that I had with it. I did really like Reese though. I found him to be very sweet. He is going through so much, and he really perseveres through his mental health, and he comes out the other side stronger. So I really enjoyed reading about his journey. He is definitely one of the better parts about this book. At number 17, I have Arden from Our Infinite Fate. I almost did not include him on this list because he doesn't actually really have a gender. He's pretty much a soul. He is reincarnated into a new body every 18 years, and so he doesn't have a set body. But because we are reading about him while he's in the body of a male, I attribute him to being male. So I still included him on this list. I really liked Arden. He's very smart and intellectual, and I don't read about a lot of guys who are book smart, so he was very refreshing. At number 16, the girlies might come at me for rating him so low. I'm sorry, just my opinion, but that is Xaden from Fourth Wing. This one is surprising because when I read Fourth Wing, I was on Team Xaden. I really, really loved Xaden, but as I've read the rest of the books that are in this series, I've read Iron Flame, DNF'd Onyx Storm for now, but I feel like as the series has progressed, I've liked him less and less. I'm not for the guys who keep so many secrets from the FMC. It drives me crazy. I'm so over Xaden being mysterious. It's not something that I'm into. I just want him to be upfront and honest with Violet and let her know what's going on. And the fact that he kept being so mysterious and keeping secrets from her and being closed off drove me crazy. So it has lowered my opinion on him. He has become so annoying to me, and it makes me so sad because I loved him in Fourth Wing. And there are still things that I do like about him, but I'm just over him keeping secrets from Violet. It has gotten very irritating. At number 15, I have Jake from Credence. This is one of the other guys in this series, and he is quite older than the FMC. He is in his late 30s, and she's still like 18, so there is quite an age gap going on there, so that's a little iffy. But I did like Jake for his personality. He's been through a lot, so he's a very easy character to sympathize with, so I did enjoy that about him. At number 14, I have Oak from the Stolen Heir duology. I believe that's what this duology is called. This is a spin-off series to The Cruel Prince. So I wasn't the hugest fan of Cardan, but I did like Oak better. I found him to be a very sweet guy, and I really enjoyed reading about him in the duology. Still wasn't the biggest fan of the duology, but I did like it for Oak. I really enjoyed following his journey. At number 13, I have Zade from the Cat and Mouse Duet by H.D. Carlton. So Zade is a very complex character. He's very morally gray, so at times it can be hard to like him, but I still found him to be very interesting because he is so morally gray, and I really enjoyed reading about why he does the things he does. It just made him very intriguing, and I do like that he is very much loyal to Adeline and basically worships her. I really like that dynamic between them. At number 12, I have Lucas from Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. Lucas definitely has a mysterious aura about him, but I think that made him very intriguing, and I really loved following his journey as a professional swimmer. He's like this famous swimmer. He's been in the Olympics, but he actually doesn't really like the spotlight, so I found that to be very interesting about him. There was just so much about his his character and regarding his backstory that I was very much fascinated by. At number 11, I have Noah from Credence. Out of all three of the guys in this book, he is definitely my favorite, and the reason being is because he's just such a fun guy. He's very easygoing and happy, and I'm just always down for reading about guys like that. Like, that is absolutely my type. And he was a refreshing character to read in this book because I feel like every other character in this book is just very down all the time. So he was just kind of like the tension breaker and offered a lot of light in a very dark book. Okay, now we're in my top 10. So this is where I'm going to get probably really gushy with all the guys I'm going to be talking about. So let's get into it. At number 10, I have Laurent from the Captive Prince trilogy. I really enjoyed this trilogy because of the character development of these characters, and Laurent went through so much character development. He is someone who you will not like at all when you first start this series. He is despicable, deplorable, mean. It is really, really hard to like his character because he is just so rude and awful to everyone around him. But as you venture further along in this series, I guarantee you, you will come to like him more. He really starts to change. He really starts to see the error of his ways, and he is open to changing. And I really enjoyed that about him. He just went through so much character development, and I really loved watching him respect the other MMMC Damon, whereas he treated Damon so poorly in the beginning. Once Damon shows how strong and capable he is, Laurent starts to really respect him. And so watching his feelings change for Damon was just such a joy to see, and it really caused Laurent to go through so much internal growth, and I was rooting for him in the end. So yeah, his character really ended up surprising me, and I'm so happy that at the end of this series I really loved him a lot more. At number 9, I have Rune from A Thousand Boy Kisses. Oh my goodness, I just remember him being an absolute sweetheart. He is so loving and caring to Poppy. He's like the ultimate guy you would want to have in your life. He's such a good friend, such a good lover. There's just so many great things about him. And the poor thing goes through so much in this book. There are so many times where he just feels so low. And in every single one of those moments, I felt so much for him. I really felt his emotions and I sympathized with him a lot. So he's a very easy character to just really feel a lot for, and you just want him to be happy because he's such a good guy. We also have to talk about another boy that I love in my life, and that is my kitty, who is here right now. I mean, he will always be at the top of my favorite boys list, huh? He beats out every single one of the characters that I'm talking about today. So at number 8, I have Reese from Twisted Games by Anna Huang. I enjoyed Reese so much, and it's quite surprising because he's another character that's quite brooding. And like I said, I'm not the hugest fan of those types of guys, but he has this underlying sweet side to him that I enjoyed so much. So he has a good balance of kind of being moody, but also being very, very sweet. And that's why I really liked him. He's so sweet to our female main character, Bridget. He's so loving towards her. And one thing I really like about him is he does quite a few acts of service for her that was so sweet and kind. He's constantly doing things for her to make her happy, and that's just quite boyfriend material right there. Like, I would want him in my life easily. At number 7, I have Damon from the Captive Prince trilogy. I already talked about Laurent from this trilogy. We have 2 main male characters in this trilogy because this is a romance, so that is why. And I do have to say, I think I do like Damon just a little bit more than Laurent. Damon is just such a good guy. He is so freaking loyal and kind. You cannot help but love him. And just like Laurent, I really enjoyed seeing his overall growth throughout this trilogy and watching him become so much stronger of a character. He starts off in this situation where he is sold into slavery, and he is a prince who has been sold into slavery. So this is a life that is very different from the life that he had. He was wrongly sold into slavery, and when you first start off reading this series, you're watching him at his lowest moments, and it is quite sad to watch him go through all these tribulations that he is being introduced to so quickly. His family has betrayed him by selling him into slavery, so he's also feeling the loss with that. You cannot help but really feel for him at the beginning of this series, and you just want to root for him to get out of this situation. And so watching him get out of this terrible thing that he's going through and watching him become stronger as a leader, but also internally stronger, was so cool to see. And I was rooting for him from beginning to end. And at the end of this series, he is just a completely different person. So I really enjoyed watching his development. At number 6, I have Josh from Twisted Hate. This is my favorite book in the Twisted series by Anna Huang. One of those reasons being for Josh. I quite enjoyed his character. I really loved him a lot, but I felt like I could not rate him any higher than this because he is a little mean. At least that's how he starts off. He is quite mean. And so for that reason, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I can't rate him higher than what I have him at here, but I still really enjoyed him a lot. And I like that even though he is quite mean to Jules, the love interest, he's actually quite misunderstood as well. And I really enjoyed learning more about his backstory that, well, I don't think it justifies what he does. It does make him a lot more understandable on why he does what he does. And he does grow to be a lot more caring between Jules. These two start off as enemies, but they do turn into lovers. And I really enjoyed watching Josh build a genuine connection with her. Once he started to understand her more, it just really showed his growth with him being willing to give her a chance. All right, now we're at my top 5. So at number 5, I have Aiden from First Time Caller. Oh my goodness, I just adored this guy. Aiden is so interesting because he is the host of a romance hotline where he gives advice to callers on their romantic situations. But at the same time, Aiden has fallen out of love with the idea of love. One of those reasons is because he's the host of this romance hotline. He hears a lot of complaints that people have with their romantic relationships that it makes him think, how can love be a real thing? How could it be something you want? Where he just hears about the negative aspects of love all the time, it makes him not want it. It makes him have a negative opinion on love that he didn't have before, but it's something that has like festered over time. So it makes it very hard for him to open up to the idea of love. But when he meets Lucy, all of that changes. Like, he's apprehensive towards her at first because he doesn't want to fall in love, because he knows it comes with a lot of heartbreak, but he can't help himself and he ends up loving her anyway. So I really enjoyed watching his journey with not believing in love at first, but like gradually opening up to the idea of it. It caused him to go through a lot of growth, and I just really enjoyed his character overall. He's so sweet and easy to love. He will definitely go down as one of the best MMCs that I have read this year. At number 4, I have Blackwell from Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. Right off the start, I was so in love with Blackwell. He definitely has that Shadow Daddy vibe, which is interesting because I feel like other than Rhysand from A Court of Thorns and Roses, I don't vibe a lot with Shadow Daddies. I connect way more with like the nice guy type than like the dark, brooding Shadow Daddy type. But for some reason, Blackwell I just vibed with him a lot. And I think that's because even though he's like that Shadow Daddy type, he also is quite quirky. And so he was way more layered than you would see from like a typical Shadow Daddy. He just had so much depth to his character. He's so funny. He is so freaking sexy. And I really loved how much he supported Ophelia, our female main character, and helped her through the trials that she was going through. And he's quite a lonely soul because of the situation that he is in, where he's cursed to be stuck in the world of Phantasma and can't get out of it. So for that reason, he is unable to build a lot of relationships. So when he meets Ophelia and feels that connection to her, like, he grasps onto it. And I was just rooting for him and Ophelia because I wanted him to feel less lonely. Like, I felt really bad for him. So it brought me so much joy to watch him like build his connection with Ophelia, and that way he could cure his loneliness. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed him. At number 3, I have Kale from 1,000 Broken Pieces. This is a sequel to 1,000 Boy Kisses. I did love Kale more than Rune, even though I really did love Rune as well. Kale was just something else. This boy, this poor boy, has been through so much, and I think that's the reason why I felt for him so much, because we're reading about him dealing with his personal grief that has really brought him down. He really struggles through it, and we see him struggle through it throughout the entirety of this book. And I really loved how this book handled his grief, because getting over his grief was not a straight through process. It was up and down. He faced a lot of obstacles to be able to come out the other side a happier person. And so because he had so many ups and downs, it was so easy to just feel for him. Like, I wanted him to get better, to move past what he was going through. And so he just really touched my heart. And he's also such a sweetheart. One thing I love about him is that you wouldn't think he'd be such a sweetheart based on his exterior, because he's described as being very tough looking. He has a lot of tattoos, a lot of facial piercings. So you'd picture him being a really rough and tough guy, but he's not that at all. He's actually so sweet and soft that you wouldn't think he would be that way based on how he looks, but he actually is. And I really love the clash right there, because it makes him that much more surprising. All right, now we are at number 2, my second favorite MMC that I have read so far this year. That is Henry from Passion Project by London Sperry. This is a book that I just read recently. I read it last month, and Henry, oh my god, definitely one of the best parts about this book. Henry is my type. To a T, he is my type. I'm not really kidding when I'm saying this. I didn't even know that I had a type before I read Henry. And once I read this book all the way through, I was like, wait, I do have a type in men. I do have a taste in men. And it made me realize that I really just love fun, outgoing, funny, easygoing, happy guys. The complete opposite of brooding alpha males. Henry is not that at all. He's the type of guy that I just really gel with. I wish he was real. And it's a good thing that he's not real, because I would have stolen him away from Bennett so fast, because I want him for myself. He is just the total package. He's so fun. He's so witty. I love the banter that he has with Bennett. He just has so many one-liner comments that are just so funny. I'm like, how could a guy be this hilarious all the time without it being cringe? He has no filter. He just says what's on his mind, and everything that comes out of his mouth is just hilarious. He's just would be such a fun guy to be around. I wish he was real, and I know there are guys like him out there. I know there has to be. So any guys that are like Henry, can you please just come into my life? Please? Because I will be all over you. I don't know if you would want that. You might not want that for me to be all over you, but if you are into that, I would be. So please just show yourself, because I need a guy like Henry in my life for sure. All right, y'all. Number 1 favorite MMC that I have read this year so far. It probably will be my favorite of this year, because how could anyone beat this dude? I don't know. I don't know how he's going to be beat. That is Josh from Lights Out by Nevessa Allen, a book that I have talked about so much, and one of the reasons why I absolutely adore this book is because of Josh. He's just so great, and I know the reason why a lot of people love this book is for Josh. How could you not love him? So Josh is a masked TikToker. So you may conclude, oh, maybe the reason why she loves him so much is because he's a masked TikToker. Who would not find a masked man TikToker sexy and want that? And I will say, you know what, that is a great reason to like him as well. And I don't go on masked men TikTok at all, so I don't really have a clear opinion of that, but I feel like if I were to scroll through masked men TikTok, I'd be into it for sure. So that's a reason to like Josh as well. But I more so like him for his personality outside of his masked man persona, because there's just so much to like about Josh. I just love the fact that he just does so much for Allie without being asked. There's a point where he decides to pick her up from work out of the blue when she's had a long shift, and he's there for her, and he picks her up and takes her home. That's so sweet. He also shovels snow off of her driveway for her when he didn't have to. He brings food to her. Like, he does so much for her, treats her like a queen, and who would not want that? Oh my god, I know I would. He's also hilarious. He's so freaking funny. He loves cats. He loves Allie's cat so much, and it's so sweet, just so nice. He worships Allie as well. Like, he's the total package. I loved reading about him so much. His chapters from his point of view are my favorite parts of the book, hands down. Like, I love Allie as well, don't get me wrong, but I just love Josh's chapters. Every single thought that's in his head, everything that comes out of his mouth, I just gel with, and I just love reading about him. He also has quite a tragic backstory as well that made me feel for him so much, and I find it admirable that he's been through so much but is still able to be absolutely hilarious and fun. He's just such a great guy. I have reread this book just recently. Already this year I've read this book twice, and I just fell in love with him all over again. That it was like no question that he was going to be number one, that I was going to put on this list, because I am constantly thinking about this dude. I wish he was real. I wish he was in my life. Like, he's so damn sexy. He's so funny. He's so loving. He loves animals. What is there not to like about Josh? He's almost too perfect. So yeah, definitely so far, to this day, my favorite MMC that I've read this year. So that is it. This was a completely unscripted video, so hopefully, like, my thoughts didn't come out too jumbled, but I just kind of wanted it to be that way. I just wanted it to be off the cuff, me just spewing my thoughts about these guys out there. So that's what I did. Let me know, like, really do let me know. I'm really curious. Who is your favorite MMC that you have read this year? I would really love to know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be back with a new video next week. Bye!